Today on Locked On Rockies, the Rockies said they wanted to add to the bullpen with a lefty arm, and that's what they did. Plus, your reaction to the idea of trading for Vladdy.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 20th day of February in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies, just like so many of you did when we were talking Vladimir Jr. yesterday. And we're going to dive back into that topic today because we got lots of comments from you guys to go through. But before we do that, the Rockies did make a move yesterday, adding Scott Alexander to the roster here. And we're going to read from a Purple Row article to give a little more context there, because Purple Row says you should be excited about Scott Alexander. And my initial reaction to the trade as well, and taking a quick look at the stats, it's the right type of move for the Rockies. Low risk, low commitment, beefs up this bullpen, adds a veteran presence, and a guy that has been good. I mean, this is, again, a guy that has not the longest career, but a guy that has been pitching here. Well, actually, I stand corrected here. Almost a 10 year. He's got a 10-year career. I apologize there. And during that time, he has been a positive WAR player, 5.6 career WAR. Last year, 2.56 ERA and 45 appearances, 31 strikeouts and 38 innings pitched. There's lots to enjoy there. So we're going to talk about this a little bit more, dive a little depth, get a little bit more backstory from Purple Row. And, of course, we're going to talk about your reaction to the idea of Vladdy being traded to the Rockies. And, again, I know it's not likely, and it's not in the ML, but there is something that I think there's an interesting little bit, and I didn't talk about much, that we'll dive into today as well. So thank you again for making us your first listen of the day. And before we dive into everything, got to let you know that, of course, this is the Locked On Rockies podcast. Free and stream every day. One more reminder for you folks, just so you know. All right, so yesterday, Rockies adding Scott Alexander from the Oakland Athletics, and we went through a couple of the stats that we just saw there. Like I said, the only time he's ever finished negative WAR was 2023. Other than that, he has been at least slightly above zero when it comes to WAR. His first season, his rookie season there, only 6 innings pitched. There's where it's a zero WAR there. And but 2 out of the last 3 seasons, he's been pretty darn good. Not the best he's ever been in his career, but 2 out of the 3, 2 out of his best seasons have happened in 2 out of the 3 last years, and bounced back from that tough year that he suffered there in San Francisco in 2023 last year with the Oakland Athletics. A 2.56 ERA there. Let's scroll down a little bit here and just see some of the stuff that should be encouraging. Some of the percentages: hard hit percentage at 45%, ground ball percentage, check this out though, 58.9% last year. The Rockies are a big fan of that. One of the things that you just got to keep in mind, slugging when batting against 338 and OPS is 642. So I'm a little worried about possible damage being dealt there. 9.4% walk rate last year to a near 20% strikeout rate, 1.9% home run percentage. So, the long ball, a threat, but not seemingly as much of one. Obviously, a change in environment might impact that as well. But let's head on over to Purple Row here, and let's see what is going on with this guy. And of course, this is by Mac Wilcox and is titled, "You Should Be Excited About Scott Alexander," over on Purple Row. Is there reason for fans to be optimistic about this journeyman? I think so. He's coming off an efficient send-off season for Oakland, recording a 2.56 ERA and 155 ERA plus in 38 and 2/3 innings across 45 games. His 3-pitch mix of sinker, slider, changeup is a classic combo, but like his new teammate Antonio Senzatella, he's extremely partial to his hard hit stuff, opting to throw the sinker almost 2/3 of the time. That's because Alexander is the prototypical ground ball pitcher. He's never been much for generating strikeouts, never exceeding more than about 7 strikeouts per 9 in a season, instead seeking to generate soft contact from hitters and keep his infield defenders active. He's especially tough on southpaw hitters, who mustered a meager 161 batting average against last year. A 273 average versus righties will need to be improved upon, sure, but that's more or less in line with his career history and isn't likely to change. It can also be assumed that manager Bud Black will use him in more matchup-specific scenarios, potentially in high-level situations in the game's latter stages. The veteran left-hander didn't record enough innings to qualify for Baseball Savant's rankings last year, but rated extremely high in ground ball rate for the time he did play. For a Rockies team that gave up more home runs than anyone last year and has preached the concept of keeping the ball down for ages, having an experienced pitcher that not only applies the practice but excels at it is a serious boon. This is especially because of Alexander's most recent stint with the A's. The numbers mentioned a bit ago, they left him with a 1.2 WAR, which would have placed him in third place among all Rockies pitchers last season. Only Austin Gomber and Cal Quantrill ranked higher. While that may be indicative of the team's struggle on the mound last year, it also immediately legitimizes Alexander's role on the club and points to his services being desperately needed. So there we go. So I think, again, this is kind of exactly what you're thinking about, what you're looking at there for the Colorado Rockies. That is the blueprint for what they want, right? A guy that is going to excel at keeping the ball on the ground, a guy that's going to be able to use the defense around him and handle business. And again, it's important to note that this is a guy that you're adding into the bullpen that was more successful than just about any of you. That was more successful than your entire bullpen last year when it comes to statistical performance. So you're adding veteran depth into a bullpen that needed some veteran depth and now boosts it a little bit. So this takes some pressure off of the young guys. Now, I mentioned in that piece, they're high leverage matchup specific situations. Now, this is a chance. Of course, you want young guys to get that opportunity, and they're going to have a lot of it, certainly. But the point is here that the Rockies are going to be facing a situation in which, do we go with this young guy? It's kind of, we're playing the Dodgers. It's late. We're looking to steal a win here. I think that this is the type of move that's going to give you a little bit more option out of the bullpen and someone that is accustomed to getting the job done. The one thing, of course, that'll be interesting. We'll see how it translates to Coors Field. But what's interesting about Alexander as well is the fact that he's bounced around from multiple different pitching environments at this point. Being in different places isn't all that new to him, playing in Kansas City, LA, San Francisco, and Oakland. He's played in 4 different places, 4 different environments. And while Colorado is different than all of those, I do think that this is something that's going to benefit him, just because he's been around, he's bounced around, he's done things where, it's not like he's going to completely unfamiliar areas. Plus, the good news about being in the NL West for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for 6 of out of his for over half of his career, Coors Field isn't a complete anomaly to you. This is not. It won't be the first time that Alexander has ever had to pitch at Coors Field. This isn't going to. This is a situation in which the familiarity might be small. The pitching and the amount of innings at Coors Field might be small, but at least it's a situation in which he's been there before. So a veteran arm that was successful last year that can help your bullpen, that follows the blueprint that you believe in big time. What's not to like about this move? Again, that's my mic just betrayed me and fell over right there. You never know. Never know what might happen when you're recording on your own. But anyway, so the concept, right? The concept or the blueprint or the reason why the Rockies added this guy, it all adds up. Extreme ground ball pitcher to work with the defense, a veteran left-handed pitcher. Those kind of were really the two, I think, main focuses, the two main goals for the Rockies when they were going with their evaluation. and they look like they got exactly what they were looking for there. Here is what just a little bit more from this purple row thing, just to give that little bit of extra little context here from Mac. I didn't want to leave. As with all incoming pitchers, there's a question of how he'll adjust to pitching at altitude. In Alexander's case, he's better set up than most, having tallied a 1.46 ERA and a 182 opponent average in 14 games at Coors Field. This was likely part of the front office's decision to bring him in, and why General Bill Schmidt is so high on him. He has had difficulty staying healthy in the past when he's been but here's, I think, the main key takeaway from this piece and what Mac is highlighting here. Alexander has something to prove as well. He's had some difficulty staying healthy in the past, missing time with each of his previous employers. When he's healthy, he's been as effective as anyone on Colorado's roster, but staying on the field consistently throughout the season will be a major hurdle for him to overcome. If Alexander can do so, he's a strong candidate for a late inning or closer spot for the Rockies. He'll want to show out, too, as being on a one-year contract. Alexander is a clear possibility to be moved at the trade deadline to a contending team in return for prospects. As Colorado continues its rebuilding efforts in hopes of reaching a future window of contention, moves like this will have to be made if available. Didn't even touch on that right there, right? We didn't even highlight the fact that, yes, that is could build up for what exactly the type of move the Rockies have, and where the Rockies have been successful at the trade deadline in the past with some of these veteran guys. They come in, they have strong first halves of the season. Certainly you're like, well, you wish they would help with the Rockies. But again, if it's trade deadline time, if that window is closed, if the ship has sailed, it is time to, make those trades, make that a move like that. Get another young guy up there pitching and see what you can do here. It's evaluation with smart trades. That's how they're going to get out of this. That's how they're going to make this year successful, no matter what the record says. But Scott Alexander, new possible, at least, we know for sure a bullpen arm, new possible closer for the Rockies. Kind of like that there's a closer competition at camp this year. I think it's going to be something, again, where I think that level of competition is the right type of thing for the Rockies to have, and is going to put them in a position where they're going to, I think how much competition at camp is going to help drive a bunch of competitive guys. All right. So yeah, that's kind of puts a bow on that. I wanted to dive into a little bit more from yesterday. And I know I teased the FanGraphs projected WAR for the Rockies. Gonna probably have to punt on that topic until next week, depending on how long we dive in here, because I really had some good takes, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about what would cause a shift in the Rockies' philosophy. And I have a comparison I want to make here coming up. We're going to do that in the next part of the show. But if you're curious about those roster breakdowns, those will probably happen next week, because exciting news, tomorrow we're going to have a crossover with Locked On Diamondbacks, and we are going to be breaking down what I think is a very sneaky good offseason for the Diamondbacks, and why the Rockies need to be looking at them as the model for success for what they can do. We're going to do all that and more coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes wonderful Pistachios. Maybe you are out and about right now. Maybe you are on your workout. Maybe you are sitting there finishing up the workday, and you're saying, golly, I need me a nice snack. Well, I got one that's both delicious and nutritious and a good source of protein. It's Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Hey, maybe you don't want to make the big mess. Maybe you're in a situation where you don't got a lot of space and you don't want to go in, you don't want to leave shells, you don't want to leave the dust tire. Well, guess what? Wonderful Pistachios has got you covered with the no shells. They are perfect for that grab and go ease. You can grab them while you're on the run, dropping the kids off at baseball practice, maybe picking them up from school, heading to your next appointment, or heading to the airport on the go. You can check it out all for yourself and enjoy a delicious protein-packed snack. Get snackin and get crackin with the snack that packs a protein punch. That's Wonderful Pistachios, and you can visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. That's wonderfulpistachios.com. We're also brought to you by SelectQuote. In sports, having a winning strategy is everything. It's how the best teams make it to the Super Bowl, the World Series, and the Olympics. The same goes for life. Having a strategy like life insurance from SelectQuote can protect your financial legacy and keep your family's future secure. SelectQuote makes it easy to find the perfect life insurance policy as one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience. They've helped over 2 million customers find $700 billion in coverage since 1985. What sets SelectQuote apart is their personal touch. Unlike other brokers that offer one-size-fit-all policies, their licensed agents tailor coverage to fit your unique needs. If you're in good health, you might even qualify for same-day coverage of up to $5 million. No medical exam required, and it's more affordable than you'd think. You can get up to $1 million in coverage for as little as $20 a month. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/lockedon. Go to selectquote.com/lockedon today to get started. That's selectquote.com/lockedon. SelectQuote. They shop. You save. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot here because that's what we're doing. Talking Rockies baseball each and every day, free and streaming on those favorite streaming services. But best place for you to check out the show, best place to be part of the show, the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Every time you like the videos, when you subscribe to the channel, and when you leave those Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section hot takes, then you get to be part of the show and kind of spur the conversation here or start the conversation. I don't think spur is the right word there. But anyway, hey, just want to remind you as well for your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB. Our guy Sully breaking down all things in the world of baseball. And of course, Colorado sports, we got you covered. Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs. Podcasts all for you, so you don't have to miss out on anything when it comes to Colorado sports here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Okay, so I wanted to get your reactions to the option of trading for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. here, and again, let's just stamp it out. The Rockies aren't going to make this move. This isn't something that we really expect them to do, but eventually. And I don't know when, and yes, certainly there'd be an argument that it should be that a move like this should be made now. Fully invest in what the in building up and building around this team, making a big splash like this. And I say that because I wanted to start with this comment, the initial comment here from let's see, Junie, I think is the name. I got 5 laughing emojis that says, bro, sit this one out. Clearly, this is a Mets/Boston Yankee battle. This is a boy table situation. Assuming you meant big boy table situation because the Rockies would be at the boy table and everyone else at the big boy table. I get what you're going for. And yes, but at the same time, right? I wanted to bring something up. And again, maybe I'm a little off on this. Maybe I'm not following in as much as possible. But remember when the Padres weren't this version of the Padres, right? Remember when the Padres were a team that was at the bottom of baseball, more usually with the Rockies, a team that really didn't have the same type of identity that they have now. And going back to that again, I wanted to just kind of go through some seasons here real quick and just hit you with some records here for let's do a 5-year stretch for the Padres, okay? 5-year stretch. Maybe a little less because sports data is temporarily unavailable. What is that? Okay. Anyway, we'll go back to how far? Well, can I go to 2015 there? Google. Okay, I can go back to 2015. So this will set the stage. 74 wins for the Padres in 2015. In 2016, the Padres finished with 68 wins that year. 2017. The Padres finished 71 wins that year. And then in 2018 here, the Padres still 66 wins that season. But something happens in the middle of that season. The Padres, not the Yankees, not the Red Sox, not the Dodgers, Actually, I'm sorry. This is a 19. I'm sorry, because I misread the dates. So this one actually is the Dodgers, because Machado traded to the Dodgers in 2018, and then signs as a free agent with signs with the Padres as a free agent. So it's not in the same realm of making the trade, right? But kind of a similar type of situation when you look at it, right? So stick with me a little bit here. Padres losing seasons, constant losing seasons, bottom of the NL West, a team that's kind of not really doing much, a team that's not really on the minds of very many people, right? Machado gets traded to the Dodgers, and then before the 2019 season, the Padres are the team that signed him to that big deal. The Padres are the team that are able to land him. And then that sets the course for the Padres to be the team that's added big names, that's been aggressive at the trade deadline, that's completely reshaped how that team has done business. And so we go from 2018, Padres 66-96 that year in 2018. 2019 for the Padres, slight improvement up to 70-92. Not, kind of the weird stuff there. It's still right in that beginning part of the Machado contract. Was it worth it? Is Machado going to be a bust? Still kind of trying to figure it out. Let's flash forward to 2021 here. 79 wins for the Padres. And then 2022, you have the Padres at 89 wins. And then you have the Padres in 2023, 82 wins. And then 2024, you have them again, 93 wins. So, yes, you're not a lot of times there you're sitting there saying, well, there wasn't a huge boost in wins. There wasn't a huge change, but it completely changed the mindset and the identity of that franchise. It set the course for them to be a team that says, no, it doesn't matter that we're San Diego. It doesn't matter about our market size. It doesn't matter that we're the 7th team or whatever the hell it is in California. No, we saw our guy and we went out and we got him. And we know how important and how much of an impactful player he can be and has been for the Padres. So my point is, and the money's way different, right? Manny Machado, of course, getting that big deal at a totally different landscape when it comes to baseball contracts. So it is a little bit of a different story there. But I don't think that you can just sit here and just say, eventually, if you're the Rockies, you have to be willing to shake the ground, shake the foundation, do something drastic like this. If you're willing to get Chris Bryant, why are you not willing to get Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a younger player whose profile fits incredibly well at Coors Field? The money's the part, right? Obviously, it's totally the money factor. That's going to be the big difference maker. Is of course Junie's right. This is going to come down to the teams that are able to shell out $450 million on a contract that's going to last 10 years. You know what I'm saying? The Rockies certainly can't do that. But I'm just saying, eventually you have to make this type of move. And maybe it's not in this rebuild, maybe it's not in this version of the team, but like if you want to change the narrative, if you want to change how your team is viewed, if you want to change how free agents view your team, other players view your team, the trade market views your team, this is the type of stuff you have to do. The Padres were not a good team. And then eventually they said, we are bringing in more talent. Yes, it hasn't led to the World Series or it hasn't led to a division title, but it's led to them being a team that has been making it to the postseason, that has been a problem for the Dodgers. So again, it's not that simple, but it's not an immediate comparison, but it just goes to show you that we've seen teams that don't do things like this, and it leads to success. And the rest of the league is going to have to do stuff too, because the good players can't keep just getting sucked to these same teams. You're eventually going to have to stand up and you're going to have to start spending money. I know that $450 million price tag is tough, but I think Vladimir Guerrero will make the Rockies a lot more of an interesting team, which will help you in the back end of that, if you're looking for a reason to work on that contract and stuff like that. Again, way too much money, and the Rockies would never, But I just wanted to bring up that Padres comparison because I think it's an interesting one. I think it is one, again, and this is a team that has added, and I know that they're going through a little bit of a different stuff now in a different situation with the changes and the was it the passing of the owner or something like that this year, all that stuff, and so that's going to shift the philosophy. But the Padres eventually said, you know what? Screw the narrative around us. We're going to go get the best player available. We're not the Yankees. We're not the Red Sox. We're not the Dodgers. We're not the Cubs. We're not the Mets. No, we are the Padres, and we're going out. We got a guy. We're going to go get that guy. I never have hated how the Padres have handled business. A little funny because they always fall flat because we're rivals, but I have never been against the way that the Padres have said, those are our guys. There's the trade deadline. Let's go after it. This is a Padres team that's added Soto. That's and I know they haven't always kept these guys, but still, I mean, all this, your Blake Snells, you're so many names, right? These Padres have had. They went out and got them. They went out and did it, and I think that's the big difference maker there. All right, let's get a couple more comments here to finish out the show. Coming up next, right here on Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth-quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. You know, it's with us Nuggets fans. We got to fire up the FanDuel app, and what is Jokic going to do today? Is it another triple-double? Is he going to go big on the points today? Is he going to go big on the assists? Well, if you bet on Jokic, I'm sure you're going to be successful in more ways than not. You can see for yourself with the easy-to-use app, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Locked On Rockies here, winding down the show for today with your YouTube comments. We're talking about Junie's comment there, talking about how the Rockies need to sit this one out because this one's only a move for the big dogs. I don't think that's going to be the case. He's definitely not a Met. I can tell you that. Pete Alonso got in the way of that. All right. Diamond Dinger here says, yes, trade Chris Bryant. That certainly would be one way to do it, but I don't think the Blue Jays would take on a long contract for a player that can't stay on the field as much as Vladdy stays on the field and produces as much. I don't know if that one's going to move the needle there, but certainly would help the Rockies and would free up exactly what they would need to do, considering that Vladdy could then be, your primary DH first baseman, of course. J-Rod says Vladdy also said yesterday his goal is to go to a contender to win a ring so he can give it to his dad because his dad never won one. The Rockies are a bit far away from a ring. Not maybe for forever, though. But right now certainly is the case. So I didn't hear that, but makes total sense, right? I mean, obviously you want to go to a contender. Obviously you want to go somewhere where you got a shot. And the Guerrero family, certainly a family of greatness that wants to hit that top level there. Let's see. Hold My Beer says our failure to move Gray, Story, Bart, etc., show where the ownership stands on any sort of real trade movement. Vladdy is a franchise-changing player, but not one that we will realistically ever see in purple. Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great point there too. The big trade, the big in-season trade or something like that hasn't always really been the case for the Rockies. I think the last major in-season trade with position players probably was Tulo, right? I'm talking about like, whoa, trade for the Rockies in season, type of deal. So obviously the Arenado trade that happened after the season. I'm talking about like trade deadline, going through the season, doing something like that. But I'm with you on Hold My Beer because those three players are certainly ones to point at of failures when it comes to trading and just overall player evaluation. Though I think they got it a little bit with Trevor Story. I think they knew about the health stuff. I think they were pretty confident in. Obviously, I'm hey, big Trevor Story guy. Let me clear that there. But maybe just a little something there where, as time has gone on, maybe we look at that one. But Rocky still should have traded him at that trade deadline and got way more than just the one. But it's not how it shook out. Shane says, how about concentrating on having a winning season first? I doubt Vladdy would come to a repetitive losing team. If he's traded, he doesn't really get much of a choice. But that you're right, though. Probably wouldn't sign on to stay up there. Jim here says, it would be an interesting trade, no doubt. While I have some hope for the Colorado Rockies in the 2025 season, I think for them to be competitive in the future, they will need to have at least $350 to $400 million payroll. The question is, will they ever do this? I mean, they are. I mean, spending money is going to be part of the thing. Like that is going to be part of the equation at some point for the Rockies. The budget, the bargain bin stuff ain't always going to work until they truly turn into this draft and develop team that they believe themselves to be. All right, folks, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for your comments there. And thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Locked On Rockies. We've got a great crossover episode coming your way tomorrow with Millard Thomas of Locked On Diamondbacks. We're going to be talking about that, so don't miss out there. And for your next listen, why don't you check out Locked On MLB or give any of the Colorado sports, the Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, or Buffs podcasts a go for your second listen of the day. Until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.